occasionally I buy something sewing related, I get all excited about it, I put it on a shelf, and I forget about it. That's exactly what happened when I bought the book, The Tunic Bible, in 2016. So today I'm going to talk about sewing a tunic and a little Tunic Sewalong I'm hosting. I'll also tell you about this top that I've made and a little bit about life, because this is Friday Sews on Janine Sews. I made a top this week, and with this top, I fulfilled my whole 30 fabric challenge goal for 2024. Yay! I donated 16 meters of fabric and I sewed 14 meters of fabric, and I'm not going to feel badly about donating those 16 meters because some of those pieces have been in my closet for a long time and they didn't inspire me. I was never going to sew them, and I'm really pleased to have them out of my life. I gave them away to people in the sewing meetup group, and I think some of the people were excited to get that fabric. So this got me to 30 meters, which means I can now buy more fabric. And with this top, I bought this pattern, I guess it was in the winter, when I bought a bunch of simplicity patterns and I was trying to find things that would give me a hint of a waist. And this is another one of those. I think this gives me a little more shape tops. The pattern is Simplicity 9705. And I'm just going to pop it up here. So this pattern has all kinds of seaming and darts on it. There's a center front, center back seam, and then it's got these darts, two sets of darts on either side of the front and the same in the back. And it also has these rather unique sleeves. The sleeves are grown on, but there is pleating on the front and the back of the sleeves. So it gives them a little bit of volume. It's a very different shape. I'm going to pop it up so you can see the whole top here. It's a different shape. I don't dislike it. I don't know if I love it or not. What I do really like is this neck with all of these seams. And the neck is faced and interfaced, so it's fairly stable. And I would probably steal this neck and use it on something else in the future. This fabric that I used, I bought over a year ago, and it's Stof Avalana Rib, 95% cotton, 5% elastin. This pattern didn't call for knits with this much stretch. It called for primarily wovens and stable knits, and this isn't particularly stable. When I cut this out, I thought that I would just pull it over my head and I wouldn't include the back zip, but with the facing and the interfacing in the neck, it just can't be pulled over my head. So I wound up just leaving the back open, slit open in the back, and I've got a big hook and loop on it. I think it's an interesting top. I like that this neck is up a little bit. I think that's good for this time of year when it's a little bit cooler, but it's not too tight. So I don't know if I'll use the pattern again, but I'm glad that I tried it. And I think it does succeed in giving me a little bit more shape. And that's partially because of all the darts. There are also darts in the front and back at the waist. Partially because of all the darts in it. Also because the sleeves are big, so it kind of gives you a little bit, it kind of dips towards the waist. So that's what I sewed this week. As I mentioned at the top, in 2016 I bought the Tunic Bible. Sarah Gunn, who's one of the authors with Julie Starr, came to an ASG Atlanta meeting, and she shared a bunch of stuff with us, and the book had just been released, so I had to buy it. And I promptly bought it. And like a lot of things that I buy that are sewing related, I put it on a shelf and I forgot all about it. So it's been sitting there. And when I bought this book, I was living in the South. And honestly, a lot of the women that I knew wore a lot of tunics. I did make tunics using other patterns, but I never used this book. Well, a couple of months ago, I mentioned to somebody, I remembered that I have the Tunic Bible and I've never even opened it. And they said, I have the Tunic Bible and I've never even opened it. And when I posted something on Instagram, there were a bunch of people who were in the same boat. So we decided it would be fun to just have a Tunic Sewalong. This is just a sew a tunic, motivate yourself, no prizes, no deadline, no pressure. So if you are so inclined, maybe you'd like to sew a tunic with me this fall. I've given a deadline of November 15th because I want to get this done before the weather gets really cold here. I want to be able to wear this in autumn, not just in winter. So if you would like to join in the Tunic Sewalong, sew a tunic, post it on Instagram with the hashtag Tunic Sewalong 24 and tag me at Janine ERM. Now, you don't have to do the sew along if you don't want to, but if you'd like to, here's a little bit of information. Several people have asked me, what is a tunic? Tunics have been around since Greek and Roman times. And when you think of what people wore in drawings that you've seen or in movies, they are loose-fitting garments that hang from the shoulders and are either hip length, tunic length, or longer. Now, typically, we think of tunics as being loose-fitting garments that don't have a full opening on the front or the back for a closure. So normally it's something that has a placket, a zipper, a quarter zip, maybe a few buttons. If you want to sew a tunic that has buttons all the way down the front, have at it. Now, they're usually loose-fitting, although some tunics do have princess seams or some darts. The one that I'm planning to make will not have any darts. It's just going to be completely loose-fitting. Some tunics are heavily embellished. Others are very plain, linen, cotton. Some might have a belt, many don't. Might be tunic length, knee length, floor length, whatever you like. So in the Tunic Bible, and you don't have to run out and get this if you want to participate, in the Tunic Bible they have all kinds of different inspiration and ideas for different types of tunics, knits, wovens. Some are very summery, others are heavier weight. When I started thinking about a tunic, I remembered one that I had when I was in elementary school. I suspect my mom probably sewed it. It was brown corduroy, and it had a big wide collar, open placket, no embellishment, and it had cuff sleeves. And I remember wearing that over turtleneck sweaters in the coldest weather, and I loved it. So I'm going to be kind of leaning towards making something that's going to be a little bit cozier, although you can certainly make tunics out of lace, make them sleeveless. But for where I live, I want something warmer for the time being. I'm going to show you a few tunic patterns that I found, and then I've got a bunch in my stash. And again, you can use any pattern you want. But here are some free tunic patterns that I found. Mood Patterns has two different ones. The first one is the Vallea tunic, and the second one is the Molina tunic. And again, those are free from Mood. Fabrics-store.com has a ton of free patterns for absolutely everything. And two tunics that I found there. There's the Harley Placket tunic, and then there's the Marie linen tunic. Harley Placket tunic, you can't really tell from the picture. It looks like it might have an interesting little collar. And then a fifth free tunic is the Luise tunic from On the Cutting Floor blog. And some people have sewn that and reviewed that. But of course, there are a zillion commercial patterns for tunics. And here are some I found, just to inspire you. The first one is Butterick 6958, which is a total retro 1970s tunic. It's a little bit more fitted than I think of a tunic, but they call it a tunic, so that's fine, that's cool. Simplicity 9183 is a very basic tunic. This might be nice in something like linen. New Look 6461 can be sleeved or sleeveless, and it's also got a high-low option. I think this would be nice for warmer weather. Burda 6809. I made this tunic several years ago when I first started sewing, and I posted it on, I think, Pattern Review, and I had a lot of people ask me about it. The placket was really a pain, so as much as I liked the tunic that I made, I got rid of the pattern because I just couldn't see myself making it again. But it was cute. You need some skills for this one. 3 Vogue patterns. 1904, which is a heavily embellished, beautiful, elegant tunic. 8952 is a knit tunic. And 1581 is a very dramatic tunic. Now, there are several patterns I have, and I have some over the years. I tend to like tunics, I guess. The first is Simplicity 1461, and I've sewn this twice. This has princess seams in the front and back, and it also has a seam in the back. So if you are short-waisted like me, you can make the adjustment in the back for this. This is one I bought to sew a tunic for my sister, which I have not done yet, and that's Simplicity 9130. And this is a pretty standard classic tunic. Another tunic pattern that I've sewn a couple of times is Vogue 9204. Now this is designed for wovens, and I've made this in wovens, but I also made it in a knit once, several years ago, and I still wear it. It's got that nice tie around the neck. Simplicity 9275 I've used several times in the last couple of years. This is one I have not sewn. This is Simplicity 8302, and it's got the long tunic, the pink one there. That's kind. I think of that as a tunic shape. It's got the slits on the side. So I did buy fabric for my tunic. As soon as I finished my 30 meters of fabric, I went out and I bought fabric. And because I was thinking about the corduroy tunic that I had when I was a kid, I actually went looking for corduroy, and I got this beautiful, it's a baby whale, pretty print. It's quite lightweight, but it is corduroy. It's 100% cotton. I'm going to do a croquis and see how I like this before I cut it. But I thought this was such pretty fabric, and it was just about the right weight for a tunic that could be worn over a t-shirt or a turtleneck. But again, before I cut it, I am going to do a toile, and I'm going to do a croquis and see if I'm going to like this, because I don't want to make the same mistake that I did with my frock tail dress. So that's what I'm going to be working on in the next little while. And again, if you want to sew a tunic, this is just for fun. It's just to encourage us. Tunics are such wonderfully versatile garments because you can make them plain or fancy, sleeveless, short sleeve, long sleeve, hip length or longer. If you want to practice with bias tape, you can add bindings on the edges and on the sleeves. You can use up some of the ribbons that you've got. You can make them out of knits or wovens, lightweight, heavyweight, silk, poplin, anything. They're just a super versatile garment. So, I hope you'll join me. And if you do, let me know what you're thinking about doing. Since it's Friday, and it's Friday Sews, share a little bit about what else is going on in life. First, I want to thank Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room for sharing this concept with all of us. And it sounds like Jen and several of the other Friday Sews creators who are in Florida and Georgia made out okay with the hurricanes. So that was good news. The last weekend was Thanksgiving. We went to a football game on Saturday and the weather was just glorious. The game was bad, but the weather was good. So we just enjoyed that. It was the last home game for the season. Then on Sunday, we, along with my sister, we did an Alzheimer's walk on Sunday morning, and the weather was cold at first, but it was glorious later. So it was a perfect day for a 5K walk outside. My mom had Alzheimer's, so this is in support of the Alzheimer's Association. Then on Monday, I cooked a turkey for Thanksgiving, just the two of us, which was fine. Meant more leftovers for us. I used a different recipe for the turkey. It turned out pretty well. I'm not the good cook in this household, so as long as things aren't too dried out and burnt and they're fully cooked, I take that as a win. Then getting back into routines. Since we were away for a couple of weeks and I had all the frock tails and everything, it seems like I've been out of my routine for about 3 months. But back to the gym this week, and we actually went to an introduction to pickleball class. I signed up for a series of classes this week, and it's a group class. The instructor's very good. I do not play racket sports. I played some badminton when I was young. I took tennis lessons about 25 years ago and never played. So I'm pretty bad. But it was a really fun class. 5 weeks. And maybe by the end of that, I will be able to actually go and play pickleball with people and not have them want to throw their rackets at me. But that was fun. It really raised my heart rate, which is probably a good thing. Otherwise, just getting things done. We're supposed to have snow, just a tiny bit of snow on Monday. But that means that this weekend, I'm going to finally clear out all the plant pots, put everything away. I've got some perennials that I put in pots this year. I'm going to try and overwinter them in the garage and see if they make it. We're supposed to have a very cold winter this year. So we'll see if they die. They would have died outside anyways. So I'm going to be working a little bit on that. In terms of sewing, I am going to be working on a toile for the tunic, but I've got 4 weeks before I want to have it done. And before then, I'm going to be teaching some sewing classes. And I'm going to spend a fair bit of time this weekend working on samples for those classes. So I'm kind of excited about that. And I also have a ton of mending that I have to do. So I probably won't have anything super exciting sewn in the next week. But I would like to dig through some of the things that I've got. And I'm also wanting to do maybe some knitting, maybe some crocheting, maybe some embroidery, just, starting to move into the higgy time where you want to just be cozy at home. So that's the plan. If you are Canadian, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Wherever else you are, hope you've had a great week and have something fun planned for this weekend. And again, if you want to join in this no pressure, no obligation, let's also Tunic Sewalong, then I really look forward to hearing about your plans. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you hopefully next week. Take care and have a great week.